Well, it's Wednesday. As you probably know, I made some certain changes due to the fact that AEW Dynamite was moved on a Tuesday for a short, just for the week, and I decided not to keep Evolve as the only show, so I moved it on a Thursday. But for today, as I mentioned in countless times, we're gonna try to catch up with some of the Yoshi events dating from months back, possibly from May all the way to now. But for today, we're going to be doing two reviews from Sendai Girls. The first one is, of course, in the Sakagawe Blue Stadium that took place back in July, and a month later, they returned to the Sendai PIT, which had some very interesting matches we definitely going to be reviewing from A to Z. And then, of course, as always, we'll cap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestling Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. In the world of pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got to do Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. School is now in session, so let's begin. As I said, it's all about Sendai Girls. Let's start with the first review in Sakagawe Blue Stadium. Right, first review from Sendai Girls. This has happened on the 21st of July. So yes, I apologize for waiting this long, but I decided, what the hell, let's do it. So anyway, this happened on the 21st of July, but was not broadcast until in Wrestle Universe until the 25th, I believe, yes. The 25th of July, if you guys have Wrestle Universe, just so that you guys know on that front. We opened up the show with, of course, the founder and former wrestler herself, the final boss, Meiko Satomura. So as you all know, this is her promotion for those who have not been keeping up. For those who don't know who Meiko Satomura is, Meiko Satomura was a well-respected Yoshi wrestler for many years. She had an incredible decade. She was part of a promotion called Gaia Japan, which is an all-females women's promotion. And then she founded this promotion, Sendai Girls, in the city of Sendai in Japan, of course. And she's been running. And many of the wrestlers she has in this promotion are her students. And that's how it's always been. So, of course, she comes out to greet her fans and greet the fans who are there to enjoy a nice wrestling show. And not to mention giving the information on the events, matches, of course. Now, our first match, we have Yuta Suzuki taking on Yuria Oka. Now, for those who know, Yuria Oka is a homegrown Sendai girl, so you probably can picture that. As for Yuta Suzuki, well, she's from another promotion, but she has done a lot of freelancing with various promotions as well. But the match, of course, you probably ask yourself this was going to fall in favor with Oka since she is the homegrown girl, and that's exactly what she did. She defeated her by applying a sweep on her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Next up, we have Zones and Hiroyo Matsumoto, aka Lady Destroyer, taking on Amira and Miyuki Takase. Now, of course, for those who may ask yourselves who had the better team dynamic, well, for those who have not been catching up for a long time now, for almost a year or so, Zones, who is from the first ever Evolution Women's Strong Champion, and of course Hiroyo Matsumoto, they had developed a good friendship and not to mention a tag team. They have always teamed up together, and that's always been a great healthy relationship, and they've always learned to coexist. And even if they lose a lot of the matches because of course they're getting their footing in, that's perfectly normal. But when you see, of course, Amira and Miyuki Takase, you question, do they have that same capability? Well, to me, I've always viewed Zones and Matsumoto as a good dynamic team since they already know how to work together. And that pretty much played out because it was Matsumoto that put away the match by applying an Urunagi onto Amira. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Our next match, we have Johnny Robbie taking on Dash Shizako, aka the Queen of Hardcore. I'm not Hardcore Country, no, folks. Queen of Hardcore. Basically, she's good with, all the plunder you can use as weapons. So you probably can guess she'll bring that aggressive side of her because she is the type of person who is not there to play games or who's not there, of course, to play any BS. And that's exactly what she does. And she she had, of course, Johnny Robbie defeated until she applied a frog splash, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Dash Shizako picked up the win. Next up, we have Yuna teaming up with, of course, the legend herself, and the person, of course, like JR said, she's the kind of woman you don't see making biscuits, Aja Kong. They take on, of course, Manami, and of course, Ryu Mizunami. Now, of course, some dynamics in this match you can tell, of course, factors. Of course, it's no secret that Aja Kong, she is a legend, but also when it comes to her size, you know it's impossible to take out, and you don't want to piss her off. But, however, her team dynamic with Yuna, well, that's a little different. However, she has always been the type of person who's always helpful to team up whoever. But, thing is this, when it comes to the team they're facing, they are a strong tag team, of course. Manami and Ryu Mizunami, for those who don't know, they are former Sendai Girl tag team champions. And they're always, and of course, you can tell by the factor that their team dynamic and, of course, their cohesion has always been strong. Aja Kong is the person who knows she can still do the work, but she expects your partner to hold their weight. And Yuna did pull up her weight, but unfortunately, that wasn't enough until, of course, Manami took her out with a diving body press, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our main event, we have Chi-Chi teaming up with Mika Iwata. I never expected those two to team up because Mika Iwata is a very serious wrestler who's like the type of person, I'm not here to play goody two-shoes, I'm here to kick ass. And that's exactly who she is. But I think she sees Chi-Chi maybe reliable due to the fact that even though she is cute and beautiful, but she doesn't play around either. And not to mention, she's good friends with Suri. That's another factor I think that tells it out. But they're facing a team that are big, they're strong, and they're a very good team. And we're talking about Team 200 kilogram, you and of course Big Hash herself, Chihiro Hashimoto. So you can tell this is one of those things. Now, however, Chi-Chi knows exactly what she gets herself to, because for those who don't know, her debut match she had when she first started in the wrestling business, her first opponent was none other than you. So she knew exactly what she was getting herself into, because it's no secret about that. Now, of course, you ask yourself, what did she learn from that to now? She knows what exactly Yu is capable of, despite of her size, her power, that sort of thing. And of course, Mika Iwata knows how to deal with someone like Yu due to the fact that she's a striker. She doesn't stay down whatsoever. But unfortunately, Chi-Chi ended up in the clutches of Hashimoto, and just like that, just lay her down into the ground, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. So basically, that's how it all ends, folks. So we're done with this particular show with Sendai Girls. Let's do our last one they did when they returned back to Sendai at the Sendai Pit. Let's do that right now. Okay, final review with Sendai Girls. They made the return to Sendai at the Sendai Pit. This happened on the 3rd of August, but it was not It was not, of course, uploaded or broadcast on the Wrestle Universe until the 7th of August. We opened up, of course, with the founder, the final boss, Meiko Satomura, greeting the fans and yada yada yada. Now, on certain occasions, there'll be moments where they will do the roll call, basically calling out the wrestlers who are officially affiliated or basically part of the roster, such as, of course, Big Hash, Yu, Miyuki Takase, Yuna, Manami, try to think. Oh yeah, Yurika Oka. Who else? I try to think. Dash, of course. I think. Yeah. So basically, people who are part of the actual roster, not the freelancers. So anyway, our first match, we have, of course, a #1 contendership for the Sendai Junior Championship, which was at the time in the possession of Aya Sakura. And we have, of course, Akira Kurigani versus Yuna. Now, of course, it's not the first time these two ladies have fought, but they have met before. But, of course, who was going to be the one to take on Aya Sakura? We know Yuna had tried that before, and she failed. But this was one of that opportunity that she needed. And, of course, Kurigani learned a lot from Zuzu. I'm sure she learned some skills that she could use. But, however, Yuna, who had a much more better years than her, was able to pick up the victory when she applied a missile drop kick, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. It was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have a 3-way. We have Shin Sakura Iroda versus Chi-Chi versus Yu. Now, the one thing you don't want to be around is getting Hiroda, putting her little doing this up to your butthole. She almost tried that with Chi-Chi, and guess what she did? She moved her body. They were like it was like Chi-Chi was treating it like a dance. Like, you can't catch me, you can't catch me. But of course, Hiroda, her usual tricks did not work because she got pancaked by Yu when she did a big body diving splash onto her. Yeah. So basically, you can tell that's how it was over. 1, 2, 3. Yu picked up the win. Our next match, we have Unagi Sayaka versus Yurika Oka. Now, these two ladies, as you know, from day one, they have become tag partners, and they have met up on full occasions, even stood up against each other on many occasions. And of course, Yurika Oka has always been trying to determine she wants to defeat her one way or the other. And of course, Unagi is the type who's like, you're welcome to try. So that kind of thing. But of course, Unagi, as you all know, she does have a bit of a unorthodox tactics with her. But, however, she was able to roll up Oka, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Our next match, we have Zones. She teams up with Yuta Suzuki. They take on Riara Ultima Powers, consisting of Lady Destroyer, Hiroyo Matsumoto, and of course the Queen of Hardcore, the Hardcore Queen herself, Dash Shizako. So that kind of tells it right there, because as you know, I mentioned this with, of course, Zones is on the opposite side of Hiroyo. You all know, as I mentioned, we have seen tag team cohesion and dynamics, how it works. I mean, we know that Matsumoto has teamed up with Zones, and she teams up with Bash. So you probably know by then that it was the Riara Ultima Powers that picked up the win. It was Dash who picked up the win when she applied a frog splash, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next match, we have singles action. We have, of course, Hazuki from Stardom taking on Big Hash herself, Shihiro Hashimoto. So, of course, as you know, Hazuki is a strong girl. She's very capable. I mean, look, you can tell she's cute, but she is fighting spirit material, as you know. I know many people often say she should have won the white belt right about now. And obviously, yes, she should have. But, however, she may have thrown a big fight against Hashimoto, but Hashimoto is the powerhouse. So she picked up the one by a power bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our main event, we have, of course, Manami and Ryo Mizunami taking on Red Energy, consisting of Miyuki Takase and Mika Iwata. Now, factors here, both teams, as you probably can tell, they are cohesion team. They're equally teaming. They stand as equals. But the real question you ask yourself, since they are two strong tag teams, they can coexist with each other, but who's going to walk out on top from one of these teams? And that's always been the case here. Now, I think many people, to me, I felt a bit biased on this one because they're both great teams. But in the end, it was Mika Iwata with a driver onto Manami, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. It was over. Red Energy picked up the victory. So that's pretty much what happened in Sendai's for this show and Sendai Girls. We will continue with more at another time. But as of right now, let's end this episode with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events. Of course, we have some GCW updates on that. As you know, on the 7th of November, they will be making their way to Hartford, Connecticut for, of course, You Wouldn't Understand. And they announced for the first time ever they will face to face. He's very nice and very evil. Danhausen takes on, of course, Priscilla Kelly. So that's going to be a very interesting match. And then, of course, it was announced the return of the Nick Gage Invitation, and it will be taking place on February 13th in Orlando. For those who are not familiarized with this event, this is much of a tournament that takes place, and it's under the name of Nick Gage. For those who know him as the, of course, the king of death matches, that sort of thing. He basically it's still unclear who's going to participate, but winner also will get an opportunity of the GCW World Title. And then, of course, they announced events that would take place for 2026. I did mention Wichita, Kansas. Kansas will happen. It's going to be on the 8th of January. However, a day before that, they'll be making their way to Dallas, Texas on the 7th of November. However, 2 more events have been mentioned for the month of March of 2026. The first one is in Columbus, Ohio on the 7th of March, and then the following day, they make their way to Chicago on March 8th. So mark your calendars, boys and girls. Now, as you know, there's the collaboration with RevPro and CML and possibly New Japan and maybe AEW. I'm not sure. But their event, Fantastica Mania UK, will happen on the 18th of this month. 2 matches have been announced. We have Defunto versus Jay Joshua, and then we have Schwal, I forgot his name, can pronounce it, versus Hechiseto. It's going to be a great technical wrestling stature right here. And then finally, we have Jersey Championship Wrestling with Possession. They'll take place on the 26th of this month with the Luna Invitational. A second match have been announced for a 4-way. We have Emerson Jane versus Ava Everett versus Gabby Forrest versus Kylie Alexia. So that's pretty much it for upcoming events. Now on to some developments. Fightful Select reports that Kofi Kingston has re-signed with WWE. As you all know, recently Xavier Woods also re-signed. It was later reported that Taz, as you know, recently we haven't seen him in doing commentary with AW. It was later foretold that he will be taking some time off. So I know because recently he had some surgery. I'm sure he just needs enough rest to heal from that. So hope he gets to fully recover properly and get back to work. And can't wait to hear what he has to say. Santos Escobar, as you all know, recently it was talked about that his contract would expired. However, it seems now WWE has reached with him with an agreement, and they just signed a brand new contract. So, very interesting to hear that right on the heels. I'm sure that they don't want him to go to AEW, which is something I'm sure fans would definitely would say. I'm not sure, but that's just what I think people would think. We'll just wait. Chi-Chi, as you know, I mentioned this during a Sendai Girl event. She actually was doing a post-match promo asking you, as I mentioned, as for all of you who don't know, I mentioned this earlier, she was in fact, of course, her first opponent that she faced in her debut match. And she asked you that she would love to have one last match with her before she retires. Something that we're seeing also with Tanahashi. And hopefully that will happen. I'll let you guys know if there's any information on that. Recently, it was reported during the on NXT during the showdown that TJP was present, but apparently it was reported that he has been brought in as a coach, a guest coach at the Performance Center. It's no secret because we know he has played coach in as an instructor at the New Japan LA dojo, which he's now no longer in that. But yes. Now, Osmo recently, as you all know, we haven't seen. He's now in AAA, but he talks about his run in Pro Wrestling Noah earlier this year, and he had some things to say about that. I had a blast in my 5 weeks there. I had a lot of fun. I got to wrestle a lot of guys I would have thought of opportunities to wrestle. It was great to have experience because that was my first time back wrestling since MVP split. So it was great for me to go there and discover who I was. I'm still discovering that, but I was beginning to find my elements of what I like and don't like. I have a phenomenal experience. So it's great that he's learning something about himself. I think that's certain things with certain wrestlers that never get to experience because you're trying to build up your wrestling craft, and I think WWE has failed to do that for him. So I think it was a great experience for him, and you guys tell me. Recently, of course, Blake Monroe talked about the details decision to leave AEW for WWE, and she felt that she did everything she needed to do in AEW. So this is what she had to say. I had a fantastic experience, and I did things that I'm so proud of and cherish. I had a really short contract when it came to the end, where positives and negatives. I got to the point in wrestling where I did have an amazing story, but that was one thing. I didn't have much else as I thought. In this everything I want, I also considered going to Japan, which nobody knows. It's something I talked to them about. When my deal was up, when we're like, just talk to WWE and see, I wasn't considering it. That wasn't an insult to WWE. I was trying to focus on one thing at a time, and I just hadn't considered it. When I talked to them and they cared so much about the glamour and all these different things, I was like, okay, now I have a big choice to make. I sat and thought about it, and I was really in a tough decision. I just came down to I did everything I needed to do. I feel like I told a great story, and I made people feel something, and it's time to close that chapter and start a new one. So yeah, so she, as you know, many of you may not know this, Tony Khan was the one that called her while she was in Japan, telling her, I have a great idea for a storyline, and of course, she jumped on the opportunity of that to do so. So she did that because, for those who may know this, alright, Mariah May really, or should I say Blake Monroe, really is a fan of Tony Storm, and that's how the whole thing was. Like, they decided to give her that storyline. But of course, the idea of going back to Japan, like, that's something I'm sure many people didn't thought she would do, because of course people would think, okay, you're out of AEW, that means you go straight to WWE. But of course, people fail to understand there's always things that you want to do that it's still in your head that you want to focus now and move forward. But of course, pushing into herself to talk to WWE, that gave her, of course, okay, let's go for it. So we'll see where it goes. People recently, as you know, saying that her match with Jordan Grace surpassed the Hollywood ending match with Tony Storm. Guys, there are people saying nope, it never did. There was nothing compared to that, So that's what I've been hearing from various people on social media and friends who I know, either here in California or elsewhere. But yes, we'll see how things will progress with her in WWE. But as of right now, let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have TNA and Ring of Honor, so we'll be doing that. But I also decided to add WWE Evolve because, as you probably know, it was unfair to keep that by itself with other things, so I decided just to jump in. So I apologize for that, but I will put it up anyway. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I'll say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.